up, girls?
It took me longer than 1 second to unmute myself.
Don't worry, it's late. It's late Tuesday. We get it.
Oh boy, that already sums my day up, basically. Where's my mouse?
Yeah, and I recognized like a new unmute, I don't know, like icon hanging around on the screen. So I was like, oh, what is this? And we were already like on stage.
All distracted. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Love it.
Good distraction. But how are you two doing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
great.
Finally, a little bit of sun here in Hamburg.
Oh, yeah.
Summer's getting
Same in
started.
Amsterdam. Yeah.
So nice.
Nice, nice.
And didn't you?
Oh, go ahead.
Didn't you have King's Day, Alba, on the weekend?
Indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed.
nice. So perfect
Crazy
weather
busy.
for
Yeah.
a party. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it was just in time because we went to a festival and it lasts till it start raining. So I enjoyed the sun and then go home.
Perfect.
But the people that were wasted in the street didn't have the same good time as me.
Oh, well.
Okay, I see. We see like some people joining us, and I want to ask you all like where you're joining today with us, and yeah, hope you have something favorite, your drinks or snacks to enjoy this live streaming. And yeah, I think before we directly introduce our special guest today, just quickly wanted to, introduce about like what is our live streaming, because maybe for some of you it's first time to join us today. So welcome again. And yeah, the reason why we have GirlCode, like on the name of our live streaming is because we collaborate with an organization in UK to empower women and non-binary folks to join tech world. So, and their organization is called GirlCode. We all are actually ambassadors in there, so that's why. And we borrow the platform to, host the live streaming from where we all work at. So that's why. And yeah, I mean, this live streaming is for literally everyone. So although we, let's say, like collaborate with GirlCode to empower women and non-binary folks, doesn't mean that, like it's only specific to those group of the people. We want to make our live streaming very inclusive and make it for everyone. So yeah, feel free to make yourself, like be at home or comfortable. And yeah, actually, like we want to, pick lots of, questions that are coming from your side. So yeah, feel free to write down, like any questions you have in here. Oh, I see Daniel here. Ah, nice. Hey. Oh, Atuna is also here. Cool.
Unfamiliar faces. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Oh, I missed the conference. Yeah. Okay. So if I didn't forget anything, then we can start to invite our special guest today. What do you think, Josephine, Alba?
Yeah, indeed. Let's do that.
Okay. Then let's do the drum roll.
Yeah.
Nice. Hi, Elian.
Hello. How's it going? Good.
Finally. Yeah.
Finally,
I'm so happy to have you here because
we've talked about it for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. You've been watching our live streaming in live so many times, and finally we have you here today as a guest. So huge milestone.
Yeah, I'm super happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining too. I know,
of course.
Yeah, you're traveling like literally like almost all the time.
Yeah.
So
this year has been very busy. A little bit more busy than I'd like, actually. But yeah, it happens.
Wow. I'm sure we're going to get into that. We're also curious. And I guess our audience is too, what you've been up to, what that means to do what you do. Yeah, we can get into that in a second. If there is anybody on here or watching the recording who doesn't know you, maybe you can quickly introduce yourself, where you're from, what you do, anything we need to know about you.
Whew, there is a lot, I think. No, I'm kidding.
We got time.
I'm not that interesting of a guy. So I'm Elian. Hi, everyone. I'm 24 years old now, so I'm getting there. I'm getting old. I'm from Belgium, Ghent. I live in Ghent here. Elba actually has come to visit me in Ghent here. And I work on Astro, which is this framework, which you probably all have at least heard of by now. And yeah, I worked in the DX team over the past year, and now I'm working the UI team. And yeah, I see it already in chat. People also call me the luminary of Astro, which was a joke once made by a conference organizer. And yeah. And next to, of course, working in open source and doing all that stuff, I also organize my own meetups here in Ghent, which are smaller size, like 60 people at a time. And then, of course, we organize the BGS conferences. So React Brussels, BGS itself, and then React Paris now. And we have, I don't know if I can say this already, we have 2 upcoming conferences that we're still planning and working on. Yeah.
I read a little bit of promo there. I like it.
Yeah, a little bit. Not too much, I mean. But I have also thought of you guys, so I have my promo material with me as well.
Nice. I have a proper one that you don't have, because this is special for the retreat that we had.
Damn it.
Probably in the future.
So impressed, so on brand.
Always. So yeah, I guess that's everything about me.
Cool. Nice and short, but actually it was very like summarized and short version of the intro about you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and yeah, actually like today's live streaming theme or the content we wanted to invite you is like mainly about, like what is it like to be, a full-time, maintainer in the open source, and what is it like to work in there, and also like how you're actually like fostering the community and things like that. I'm not gonna say all.
Yeah, I was going to say
relate to the questions.
Yeah, that's a lot of questions in one sentence.
Yeah.
What is it like to work full time in open source? Well, awesome.
Yeah.
For one. I mean, no, it's really cool, but it's also, of course, a lot of work. Well, I mean, it's as much work as you put into it, I guess. But one of the things I noticed that I have a lot of difficulties, like putting my laptop shut and not working. Like in open source, there is always someone awake in some time zone. You work with a lot of people around the world all the time, and it's really cool. But yeah, sometimes I find myself hacking on something at 2 a.m. in the morning, still working on something. I find it so awesome, and then yeah, next day getting up is a little bit more hard. But yeah, I mean, it's a dream of mine to work in open source. I've been trying to chase this for a long time, and now I'm actually doing it, and I'm getting paid for it, which is also, of course, not something that common. Let's say in open source, it's a really hard industry to get into, and like getting a full-time paycheck. So I'm super happy that Astro gave me this chance and that I can work on it full-time. I'm really happy to do it. Yeah.
That's amazing. You're touching already so many points. I don't even know where to start asking questions. But what I'm super curious about is you're saying you're getting old, but you're relatively young, actually. So how does one get a job in open source at 24? Like you said, it's a dream job. I think it's a dream job for many. So how can we reproduce this?
Yeah, well, if there would be a perfect formula, I would give it. But I don't know. It's a lot of luck and a lot of hard work involved, I guess, and a lot of, how do I call it, like getting to know the right people and putting in the right works. And I don't want to say like use your connections, but in a sense you are, like you're making new friends and you have to leverage them. It sounds really bad, but I mean it like in the best sense. So what happened for me was actually I was still in university when I got hired part-time out of a teacher. Actually, one of my teachers had his own company where he did software engineering and cloud engineering, and he saw like what I was doing at school and saw my assignments and really liked what I did and that I was advanced for my age, or like at school I was doing cool stuff. So they hired me to work on a couple of projects part-time while I was still attending university. And actually that guy works now for Google. He's a DevRel for Google. Bramus is the name. And he kind of put me in a position where he was like motivating me all the time to start writing blog posts about some stuff, make your own website, like get your name out there, start being active on like the tech Twitter bubble. So I did all of that by accident, in a sense. Like I was kind of getting pushed into it, but I loved it. And he also gave talks, and then he asked me, hey, what do you think of like giving a lightning talk, just 10 minutes, tweet about something you love. So at that time I was very into Jamstack. And then this little small unknown framework came out, which was Astro. I think it was Astro version 0.15, 16, something like that. It was September 2021, something like that. So I gave a 10-minute lightning talk on Astro, and nobody heard of it, nobody used it. So it was really cool because I could really I learned the framework myself by explaining how it worked to other people, which was a really good experience to like getting to know everything. It was really nice. So I gave that talk, and then Eamon and Omar from the BGS team noticed me giving that quick lightning talk and asked me if I wanted to do the same lightning talk in December, so a couple of months later, at React Brussels. And I did that, and then the ball started rolling from there. Then they asked me to go speak where I met Alba at Amsterdam, at Vue.js Amsterdam and DevWorld. So I did that, and then it never stopped. I got to meet Fred there. And then I became a maintainer. I think 3 months after that, I was already working like not full time, but of course I was contributing a lot to open source, like rewriting the Astro docs, helping where I could, like maintaining the Astro website and stuff. And then they asked me to become a maintainer. Maintainer in Astro, like we have a whole open source, how do you call it? Governance model where you can see like a community maintainer is basically someone who has merge access and is just like community powered. So anyone can become that, but you have to be voted to become it. So I became that. And then I think August last year, they asked me to come work on Astro full time in the docs team back then, the X team. And then I started doing more and more of it. And now I'm working on Astro full time in the UI team. So I'm basically building Astro and Astro Studio products now, doing less of the DX and docs now. So yeah, I guess that's it. Well, that's how I came where I'm now. But yeah, of course, doing conferences was one of the things that I think got me really into like, how do I call it? Like getting to know a lot of people, getting to make new friends, getting to know your name out there. So people know at least a little bit of who you are. Yeah, I think that kind of summarizes how I got to the point where I am now.
Wow, so much energy. And I was
sorry if that was overwhelming.
No, it's not. I wish I could be also young. But I mean, it doesn't mean just because you're young, it has the energy. No. It's because of you. You have the energy. So that's really like nice.
People tell me all the time that, people always tell me like, how do you have so much energy? Like, what happened with you? Yeah, I don't know. I really have batteries that don't power off. Yeah. Can't help it.
Wow. Okay. This actually made me think of like another question I also wanted to ask you, because we all are human. So how are you, like balancing, between your full-time open source maintainer and also like some other, like demands or the other tasks that you need to do? Because at some point, when you're speaking at the conferences, you need to travel, you need to prepare the talks, you also need to engage to talk to, the new connections you're going to create. At the same time, you also have the regular work at the company, right? How do you balance all?
That honestly is the hardest part, and I'm really bad at it.
What?
Yeah, no, I am. Well, let's say I work all the time, and when I am at conferences, I try to like be at the conference all the time. So I don't try to leave and go to my hotel to work a little bit. No, I try to be in the hallway track most of the time, because that's where you get to know a lot of people. That's where you talk about cool stuff, get to know like what are people thinking of Astro, like how can we improve it. I get a lot of feedback from that. But yeah, it's really hard. Like typically I find myself making up for the time that I lost at a conference just working in weekends, for instance. I don't mind that much. Especially also one of the cool things of working different time zones is that I typically work later at night and a little bit less in the morning, so I can spend my mornings creating. For instance, today I built a workshop for a conference, JNation. Later this week, I was working on that this morning. I will be working on that tomorrow morning. And then, of course, when I'm on the plane, I will be working on that, because that's work that you can do offline. And it's not really part of my job anymore, since I'm not in the DX team anymore. So yeah, balancing it all is really hard. And I would like to say that I'm better at it, but I'm not.
Well, I will say that you're young enough to learn from your experience and try to have a way to handle this. I think I can do it neither, and I'm older than you, so I think you just need time to realize.
Yeah.
But actually, about your entire career, I'm interested in the part that you said that you were pushed to open source, because if I think about myself in the career, I didn't know what was open source at all. I was just coding things in C++, ignoring that the world was move on and doing other stuff. So it was really studying the old way, because probably in Spain, the education system is what they told you. So I didn't investigate on my own, if I'm honest. And I didn't have someone with me to teach me that open source was a thing. And I could actually participate on that till I had my third job. So, I mean, for you, it was quite cool. But at the same time, I think you were the lucky one to get into that track that gives you the opportunity to work in really cool projects, because as a normal engineer, I end up in a normal company without this emotional job. Is more like, a sad job.
No, I think I was really lucky in the sense that actually in second year of uni, that was also the year when I got hired, like in that other job, I discovered Vue, and Vue is very famously for it open source. It's very open source. It's community driven, and I really liked the framework because it made way more sense to me, more than React did at that time. So I started working a lot with Vue, and then I started like, hey, this GitHub thing, that's where I can open an issue if there is something wrong. How does this work? And then I started playing a lot with like, I think my first repo was open sourced, a couple of years ago by now, I think 2018 something. And then I started like actually pushing my friends into like, if we collaborate, let's do it through GitHub, let's do it like this and do it like that. So I kind of like stumbled upon open source myself, and then started actively using it like for our own projects. It was still, well, not really open source. It's like collaborating in between friends or building a project together. But that pushed me into like that uncomfortable feeling of your code is living out there and other people can use it and do something with it. And then once Astro came in the picture, I started like actively contributing and actively doing stuff. So yeah, I was lucky indeed to have like stumbled upon it early on. And I think that really powered my career, because without open source, Astro would never have hired me. I would never have this job. I would never have even spoken at conferences. So I definitely was very lucky, and I'm really happy that I was.
Nice. And I noticed like one thing. I mean, like, sorry for going back again to the point that you're very young and already, like working as a full-time open source maintainer. But I see, like some, let's say, common, how should I put this? Like start point, like where people, like are so young, but they're already like quite committed to do lots of, like important work that we see, like out there. So the thing is like, when people are still in, the college or university, they already got into, the chances
I was
or,
about to say, I think there is a lot of like mind shifting that happened in the past couple of years, that open source, well, in open source and GitHub and all of it has finally like matured a lot. So now actually the whole community feeling is way better than it was 15 years ago. Like 15 years ago, GitHub was a thing where you put your code and you didn't touch it again. Like it was, here, use it, and if it's broken, your problem. And I think like now we have all these discords. Like I'm in 15 discords with different open source projects that we all try to help. Like for instance, I regularly contribute to other things. Like for instance, I see a typo in some CLI, I fix it. It's really easy for me to do. It helps me, it helps them. So yeah, I think the whole industry as in open source has just matured a lot over the last couple of years. So it makes sense that universities and schools are actually teaching open source more, because it's so useful now. For instance, hey, you are using Vue or you're using Svelte. You can read on the docs, you can change the docs, you can ask someone if you need a feature in there. It's a very powerful tool that I think always should have been taught in school.
Yeah, actually, that's quite important, because when you're in school, maybe like when you're in school, you don't feel like this. But now when I think back, I feel that you have quite a lot of time compared to, like when you started to work in some places. So when you have time and when you're constantly looking for the opportunities, then if there's, like the useful info to build up the fundamentals for your future career, that's really great. Because when I was in university, I don't want to say how many years ago, but there was no such kind of opportunities. And in fact, I didn't become a developer for my first full-time job. And then after, doing some discovery, then I got to know about it. But when I first became, let's say, a front-end developer, it was the time, like finally the React started to, like be recognized, and some of, like the products started to, like adapt using it. So around the time, I didn't even have an idea of I could be the one, can contribute to, for example, their docs or, even some of the source code. So I never had the idea. But if there was a person telling me that, hey, there's actually an opportunity you could do, then, you could easily open up your mind and can jump in. So there are some changes, I guess, depending on the time you start. Yeah.
But also depending on the country, isn't it? Because in Spain, I have friends that are starting a study right now, and almost the system didn't change a lot in 10 years. So they are studying the same thing I was studying, maybe a little bit more advanced, but the stuff that is basic to anything, like open source, that is part of every product we use in some way. Probably the product is private, but the thing they are building on top of is open source. And it's for me like economic classes. We don't have any kind of idea how to manage money till we start being an employee, isn't it? It's the same with open source. We start learning about code, but we don't start learning about how code works and how this ecosystem works. So it's kind of interesting that we don't have like a way, except from the girl that we bring in one of the episodes, Anna, that is working in Linux Foundation, and they are trying to teach people in companies. I wish we can move it also to universities and schools to try to bring this initiative. And probably Elian can be a voice in Ghent University.
I already am,
about
actually.
Open source. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
I did guest lectures, of course. Yeah, and that's also why I organize meetups, for instance. I think it's really important to create some kind of community around the city. Like, we're all developers in the same city. We have probably attended the same university. It really happens. Like half of the people that come to our meetups have been to the same school as I was. So it's really interesting to have like forming connections there and comparing to where everyone is in their career and sharing tools and knowledge and of course community building. One of the people that actually came to our conferences, I then started co-organizing the meetups with them, and now he's one of my best friends. So it's really cool to have.
Yeah, that's amazing.
One thing that I really, and I can rant about this for a long time, but I don't know if you have the same thing, but it's so hard to explain my job to people that are not in tech.
Yeah.
Like, my mom has no idea what I'm doing and why I travel the world. She's just like, I'm happy you do what you do.
Yeah, my mother is talking to me in the podcast online, talking to me in a recording, expecting some answers, and it's like, no,
exactly.
That's not how it works.
Did you clean out the dishwasher? Yeah.
Exactly.
We're alive.
It's so difficult. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why I really like going to meetups, for instance. It's people in my city. It's not too far. I can get there in 15 minutes and spend 2 hours with people actually with the same mindset, with people that I actually can talk with tech about. Like, maybe that's also one of the things, like in open source in general, you work remotely because you work with teams all around the world. And sometimes I miss that physical connection. And that's why it's so good for me to go to conferences. I really need to talk to people in person sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the analogy that you made, Alba, about like learning about it in school or learning how to deal with money, because in school they teach you some super random, I don't even know what to call it in English, but some super random algorithms you will never need in your life unless you pursue like a master's degree in higher mathematics. But nobody tells you how to do your taxes without getting into a lot of trouble. And it's the same thing, right? Like you need the applied knowledge. Not the super high, like you need the concept, yes, but you need the applied stuff too. And so that's really like, we have a big grip in our education system.
Honestly, my university was really great at that. We had a couple of like business courses, and we also like all of our courses that we had to choose or could choose were actually really like applied stuff. So like our projects were less theory and were more like focused on how do I actually build a website? How do we start like with a backend? What is a database? How does a database work? And we actually got to work with them. It's not like theoretical knowledge and you had to write something on paper. We never had to. It was more actually made assignments. So I'm really happy that I attended that school.
So you didn't make an exam with actual writing code?
Only once. My first year I had to write some program in Java on a paper, but only once. Yeah.
I need to make algorithms in paper, like bubble algorithm, or it was crazy.
I feel your pain. Yeah.
That's madness.
I mean, it's also a thing that they kind of try to defend it with like, then you know how it works. But I mean, we have Google now, we have ChatGPT, we have all of these tools. You're going to use them in your job. Why not learn them while you're at school to actually learn how to use the tools properly?
100%. And in no other, I cannot imagine that they're like a dentist school. They're like, drill a hole in paper so you know what it was. Like, no, you need to learn it on a tooth. Like,
exactly.
Because you're gonna make mistakes.
Yep.
I don't know. But speaking of jobs, you were mentioning you shifted from DX to the UI team, right? I completely missed that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I mean, I didn't announce it anywhere, or it's not like very much of a promotion or anything. It was just me shifting in team because I want to say desires kind of changed inside of Astro, and I was working on some cool stuff. I wanted to put more time into that, and we discovered that it was a really cool thing. So I used to be in the DX team where my responsibilities were more the community stuff. I was community engineer, so I was building community. I was being online a lot of time, well, around everywhere, basically. So I tried to be at least. And now then as part of my DX responsibilities, it was like building some stuff for the community. And that's actually what I'm doing now. So what I'm building now is the Astro developer portal, which will be or is, because it's already online, but in a very MVP status. It's actually where Astro developers can share their themes for Astro and other people can use those themes. And we're building a whole system around that. And that's basically what I do now full time.
Oh, really cool.
With, of course, still the conferences that were confirmed a while ago. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really cool. It's really enjoyable because I'm also like the sole person on this project. It's really like I have a lot of freedom. I learn a lot. For instance, yesterday I was chatting with the Solid DX guys because I was using Solid in that project and then hit a couple of issues. So yeah, I still learn a lot, and that's also a lot of fun for me. And still get to serve the community, of course, which is also something I really value a lot. Like I put a lot of value in open source and in people in general. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Daniel comes in chat and say those Solid DX guys are cool.
Yeah,
because he's one of them. Yeah, of course.
They have really good marketing. I heard they go on people's live streams and just promote it now.
Yeah,
really
we have
appreciate it.
Oh yeah, Athena is also saying exactly. Yeah, good.
Well, of course, it doesn't help that those two are one of my best friends, both of them. So yeah.
No, that's really nice. Wait, what was I going to say? No, but you have the conferences going on and you have those new responsibilities, and that's kind of probably what you mentioned earlier, that it's like this year you're busier than you were anticipating or you want it. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, definitely. But I still, I mean, I do love it. Like travel is so much fun. I mean, I'm still young, sure. And also like, what was I going to say? I forgot. Sorry. No, I was.
For all of us.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, travel is a lot of fun. I get to see the world and still get to know a lot of people. Like it's really fun. That, for instance, like Attila and Daniel, that I got to know through conferences, are good friends of mine now. When I have a question, I can ask them, and we actually we do really cool, productive stuff. For instance, I was once having a conversation with Attila, together with Chris from the Astro team, and that basically formed one of the foundations of new stuff happening in the solid docs, in the solid start docs. So that's really like a valuable thing for me. Like I love putting people in contact with other people and making it a fruitful connection on both sides. I think, yeah, that's one of the things I really love.
Yeah, but I think we've all been there on one side or the other. It gets really overwhelming if you have multiple responsibilities, and then with the traveling, as much fun as it is, it's also very demanding. If not at the first 20 conferences, then in the second half, like at some point it'll get to you, I guess, depending on the person. But yeah,
you can see, Josie and I, that we have moved from DevRel to other roles.
No, but I completely understand that. Well, that's when I'm lucky that I have a lot of energy.
Yeah, indeed.
And I think,
but it's not just only energy; it's also in general the value that you are giving with what you do. Because of course, it's really nice to meet people, but if you think you can also help the product, or in this case the framework, to grow better, even if you are coding or helping with the DX, then you move forward, isn't it? Because for me, DevRel is something that helps beginners or people to start using something, but at the end, when they get middle or higher level, in order to help them, you need to code and help them delivering better SDKs, better products. So
that totally makes sense. Well, that's one of the, I guess, good things that we have at Astro. We don't actually have DevRels, so everyone is active in Astro as a general thing. Like even in the X, I was coding stuff and I was doing stuff inside of Astro, and then still doing conferences as a part of, but not solely my responsibility. So I think that's a really good way of approaching that. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think
was.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to give you the head because I just started.
No, don't mind about it. No, I was gonna say, like, to be honest, like I started to face the difficulties, like about like the DevRel part when it comes to, I've been doing, let's say, like so-called DevRel, job, and with the official occupation name DevRel thing for several years. But I mean, like my mind changed, and also the things I want to do also changed. So, and I used to go to like, or apply every single conferences that I see, like, oh, the CFP is open. Okay, I'm going to send it. So we'll see how many I will get accepted. Now it's different because my goals are different, like nowadays. And I'm actually like not sure if I can call myself as a, let's say, like a typical or like something people can imagine, like the talkative DevRel going to the conference, because in fact this year I don't. So I have other focus like on the documentations and like the websites we have. So it's quite different. So when you say your DevRel, it's actually making yourself a little bit hard and makes you think like, am I really doing DevRel? It's different, than you do like something when you have your spare time and then do the DevRel activities. And I see like could be like the other way around, like you're actually not DevRel officially, but doing the DevRel stuff actually gives better impressions to the people. That's what I started to do.
Well, one of the things I always found hard, like in the DevRel space, let's say, is how do you measure success? Is it by number of conferences that you go to? Is it by people you influence? Is it by Twitter followers? Like, how do you measure it? It's such a hard thing. And I think that's also why it's sometimes like the job DevRel gets like put down a bit, because it's so hard to measure success. It's basically paying someone to don't really know what your return will be. So I always kind of struggled with that when I was doing conferences. Like, how do I know if I'm doing good?
Yeah. We had so many discussions about this internally, and I think it's because, I mean, you all mentioned before, nobody knows what we're doing, like your grandma or your mom or even your friends don't understand, because it is also so multifaceted, and there are definitions out there, right? Alba, I think we had a different stream, and you pulled out these definitions because you had your other stream about it, and so there are some like rules, so to say, like developer marketing and DevRel, and what is it defined as? But then each company just does their own thing, and they're like, oh, fuck the definitions, we'll just do our own thing. And in the end,
so at the end, Elian is also a DevRel, but in
a sense, But I think in a sense, everybody that works on like a product is a DevRel for their product. I mean, you're not trying to sell anything most of the time, but I mean,
I think because we are talking about open source. True. As the ecosystem is that way, because at the end, if you are talking about something that is open, you will do everything open to the public, and at the end you are some kind of DevRel in that sense than a developer that works in a private company, of course. But
true.
No, that's a good point. Do you think that to work on open source you need also skills on documenting, giving talks? Because that's something that usually you don't require to a senior developer in a normal company. I mean, in a normal product.
I mean, I don't think you need any skills. I think you need the skill to be able to learn and to be like a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Because when I started with Astro, I wasn't a great speaker or anything. I gave 2 talks, that's it. I only fixed a couple of typos or wrote maybe 1 CMS guide that was heavily edited. So I think you evolve with the job, which is a good thing. But of course, you need to have people believe in you before you can get hired in something like that. So that's really hard. I think I was lucky because I was already working in the Astro community before I got hired. But yeah, that's definitely something that's really hard. Like, how do you define the skills? I wouldn't know.
Because if I think about the next team, for example, when you saw the conference, usually the people speaking are part of the team, not only community. So there is, of course, community, but most of the community that are speaking are also maintainers or the creator of a module or something like that. So you should be part of the development to speak. And that got my attention because at the end, when I was working with Nax, all my team members didn't speak about it in conferences. They didn't promote it, but only the team members. But I think it's just because people doesn't want to go there. I guess.
I was going to say conferences, and especially like speaking at conferences, is still a fear that a lot of people have to overcome, or like it's a difficult step to take. Like once you've done it once, it's fine and you can do it again. But I even like at meetups where here in Ghent, for instance, it's sometimes really hard to get people to speak. Like I have dozens of friends that build super interesting things and they're always like, it's not that cool, or it's not that amazing. And no, it may be true, but that doesn't matter. Like it's one, speaking about something really gives you a lot of skill. It makes you help build new connections. It's way more than just speaking. And I do think that just some people don't want to, and that's totally fine. Maybe it's not out of fear, or maybe it's not about something specifically, but it's totally fine if you don't want to. But I think more people should try at least. But yeah,
I think it's a mix of things, right? It's like one is maybe they just don't want to, which is perfectly fine. Not everybody has to, just like you said. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is like imposter syndrome, or however you want to call it. You will always feel like there's so many smart people out there in tech. Why would anybody want to listen to yours? Like we're all guilty of that, I assume. So that's like a whole different conversation then. It's like two sides of the story. Yeah, totally.
Definitely. Yeah, honestly, I still struggle with imposter syndrome every day. I mean, typically when I go to conferences, I'm still the youngest guy or the person who hasn't been working for the longest on the stage, and that's sometimes how do I call it? Like impressionating? No.
Intimidating?
Scary, intimidating. Yeah. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah, it sometimes is, and that is totally fine. I mean, but it's yeah, sometimes I still have to overcome that. But of course, it helps that I now have a lot of friends that are also at conferences, and they always try to reassure you and push you to do new stuff, and that's really nice. But yeah, I think it's a pretty normal thing, especially if you work in like a more public job or like in open source, that you struggle with some imposter syndrome. Yeah, and in a sense, I might also say that it might be healthy in a sense, because that keeps you humble in a sense.
Yeah, and you know that if you are, I think we did a different episode on imposter syndrome actually, but I think if you have imposter syndrome, you can almost be sure. I mean, it's inherently that you're not sure, but you can almost be more sure that you're trying to do a better job. So you're gonna put more effort in if you're like a little bit insecure about it. And so likely you're gonna do much better than if you think like, I'm the queen of the world. They are so lucky to have me, because I mean, they are, but you like, if you think that in advance, you're not gonna put in as much effort.
Exactly. Get that point. Yeah, very true.
Oh my God, Arisa, thank you.
Oh, thanks for sharing that episode. Check that out.
No worries, no worries. I'm actually so happy that we were able to share too, like past, episodes in this live streaming. It's so nice.
Yeah.
We finally
part of advertising. Yeah.
Finally reached a part of our journey in streaming that we can now link the episodes and don't have to repeat ourselves.
Yeah. One thing I'm quite sure. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'm super curious because the Astro community, they're so nice. It's such a welcoming community. Everybody is so supportive. Yeah. It's a very nice tone of voice. I felt like I'd never to be like scared to ask a like quote unquote stupid question. So I'm kind of curious if you have any in the team, if you do anything to keep that going, if you do a lot of moderation, if that's something that kind of grew organically. People who use Astro are just nice people. Like, where are the haters?
There definitely are haters. I think any framework will have at least a couple of haters. I think it's a couple of things combined. One of them definitely is also like it grew organically, definitely. But also, there is a lot of moderation going on. But also, I feel like it's just so friendly because Astro, in a sense, is a friendly framework because it can take Vue on, it can take Svelte, it can take React. So you have all of those people coming in using the same tool and just trying to use that tool. So I think that also has to do with like, there is less hate of like, don't use tool Y, use tool Z. So that's always a nice thing. But there is, of course, some moderation going on, but like nothing super heavy or anything. We have like an auto mod and that's basically it. I think we're just very lucky.
No, but I mean, that's really nice. And the part about the different frameworks coming in and it not trying to replace, that's so true. Like, I haven't thought about it that way, but that really, the whole battle between the frameworks is kind of like, they're just waving a white flag and saying, like, no, you're all welcome. Come on in.
Exactly. We're a super inclusive community in general. Like we have a lot of people coming from anywhere, and that's really cool. One of the things I always also say at conferences is that, the framework wars are over because you can choose whatever tool, combine it with Astro, and it will work, and it will work performantly. So that is really nice. I'm
really happy that you said the framework war is over, because how many times we had to catch up the new frameworks whenever they come up.
We're starting the meta framework wars now. We have now Svelte Kit is amazing, Nuxt is amazing. Like all of the tools are really good. But
actually, you can now try to answer one of the people on the audience. They say, I don't know Astro yet, but what will be the sales pitch for people that come from Svelte area of front-end tooling? So basically, you can say part of what you are already saying.
Well, the simple answer would be, come to one of my talks. No, I'm kidding. I think that the easiest and shortest sales pitch would be that Astro is a meta framework like any other, like Svelte Kit, for instance, and has the same tooling. But it is framework compatible with all of the frameworks, so you can use whatever you want. You can combine them. By default, it will generate a static site for you, but now you can also do SSR. You can do basically anything. But if you're using a Svelte Kit side, I wouldn't advise you necessarily to migrate. I think there is reasons to migrate and there is reasons not to. But yeah, one of the most interesting things is that we are static first and we're like opt-in design. So by default, you will get the most static thing ever, just basically HTML and CSS, no JavaScript, and then you basically opt into reactivity, you opt into something else, you opt into another package. And that's a really refreshing approach, I guess. Yeah.
Really on point, as always. And they also have, by default, when you create one project with Astro, they have like a blog system that helps you create the markdown files in case, because they were asking also about content-driven advantages.
Yeah. So if you're looking at, the content advantage is mainly that you have really nice DX for everything, basically. We have really nice CLIs. We have cool packages helping you with a lot of stuff. For instance, content collections is one of those that's basically...
That's the thing. I
content collections. Yeah. And we also have a database now, Astro Studio, so you can totally use the database inside of Astro without any other third-party packages, I mean, because it was possibly before to use something like Neon or Supabase. But now you can do it all first-party.
Nice. Yeah, and it will be open to other frameworks or just use with Astro?
Well, for now, I don't know what's actually on the roadmap specifically, but for now, it's just Astro only. Yeah.
Nice.
But of course, you can pass it as props to your front end and everything, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like, I like Astro because like it gives me more options, you know. What I believe is like when it comes to choosing your, let's say, next technology, I look for, you know, always like, if there are, you know, like enough options for me to get to decide what will be the best solution in my case.
Exactly.
And otherwise, if you only have, I don't know, only for one or two options, then I would be like, how am I gonna, you know, like survive for more scalable or like, you know, diverse, you know, like apps or projects.
Yeah, that was also totally the reason why I fell in love with Astro, like from the moment I saw it. It really works well with the mental model of building a website that I have. It's basically, you start from the bottom up, like you have one index.html page essentially, and then you start building something upon it, and you get then, oh, I'm using twice the same button now, let's make that a component. And then, oh, I need some interactivity here, I need a button there. And then you add all those complexity and you start still from the bottom. So however complicated or simple your website is, Astro would always be a good solution. And that's why I fell in love with it.
Yeah, in the end, going with the simplest, let's say, like way of organizing thing is actually the best, because if you complicate things, people, let's say that new people cannot, you know, like quickly, you know, like contribute or, you know, help you, you know, in those projects. And if you're the only one, you know, aware of, you know, what you're building, it's gonna make your life so much hard. So yeah. I see one more comment coming from same Daniel. We have two Daniels today, by the way. He's asking, would you recommend it for a full-blown CMS with many custom elements, or more like a blog-ish project?
I know a very good CMS. It starts with Story. And it actually works really well with it works really well. Well, Storyblok works really well with Astro, for instance, but there are also other options like Builder or whatever you need. We also have guides on the Astro docs. You can just click on CMS guides, and you have like, I think 12 or something by now, just that guide you through the whole process. But also we have, for instance, I think Storyblok also has a start kit that you can just download and check out. It's really easy. So would I recommend it? Yeah, it depends on, of course, how big it is and how everything works, but I would definitely recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can have, as an example, the website from Storyblok is built in Astro, so you can have a huge project, let's say, in production with Astro. There is no limitation.
Limitations too. Yeah, so we really like using it. Yeah, we have lots of requests on those website and the documentation, you know, like website. So yeah, but it's quite like light, I would say, quite performant. I mean, I actually started to work on those like websites, and yeah, I'm so like amazed, you know, how, you know, Astro making our life much easier. And there's also like a cool Wish I could say that, but I guess I shouldn't say that yet. The cool thing is coming up with our Astro SDK. So we have quite good connection with Astro and Storyblok. And when you actually like start to build things with Astro, with this, like the dev toolbar you have like with Astro, you actually can directly jump into our documentation.
That is true. I totally forgot to say that. Yeah, we have a dev toolbar and you can just check out your blogs there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just remember because I'm actually maintaining the Astro SDK, so I get to see that every day.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you for making our life easier too, because we got lots of help from you guys. Yeah.
That's kind of full circle on the whole open source thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like open source, it's full in collaboration, getting to know people, working with people, empowering each other to make just a better web. Like that's always has been my goal. Like when I go to conferences, I never judge someone for using Next, for instance. I just want to drive everything to get and build a better web, more easable, more accessible, for instance. It's all very important. And I think there is no real war from our side or my side, whatever, going on. It's just I want to make the web better in general.
Yeah, we all have the same goal and we tend to forget, but you wrap it up in the most beautiful way.
Yes.
Yes.
That's why you have me on stream.
Finally, yeah.
Speaking of wrapping up, I really hate to say, but we're already reaching the end of the time of our live streaming. So sad. But before, there was one question. We all started with jQuery. Oh God, I remember those days. You also did.
And there is still people there.
Yeah, definitely.
Really? Oh God,
yeah, of course. jQuery is still alive in some companies.
It just released its new major. It has released jQuery 4.
New major, okay. Oh, I missed it.
Yeah.
Better for us, yeah.
Oh no, where was I? So wrapping up. Sorry, I'm not good at doing the MC things, but going back to the point. But before we do, Elian, if you have anything you want to share in the end, anything, shameless plug, whatever you want to, share with.
Not really, actually, but if you're interested in checking out Astro, then you should go to astro.build. That's our website. We have documentation linked there, Astro Studio linked there. So if you're interested, check that out. If you want to follow me, it's at Elian Codes everywhere. So yeah, on whatever platform, it's this exact thing. Follow me if you want to learn about Astro, because that's all I do, actually.
Cool.
Or most of it, at least.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I feel like it was a very fun episode. It was definitely like we learned so much, and it was really, really enjoyable. I wish we could go on forever, but like unfortunately, there's always like the hour cap where we kind of have to stop. But no, Alba, Arisa, do you have any last questions for Elian, or should we wrap
I think
it up?
he answered everything that we wanted to know. So. Yeah,
and
thank
much
you,
more.
Sorry, one last thing, because this live streaming is going every month. So if you already want to sign up for the next episode, the topic is going to be announced, like pretty much soon. But if you want to already, tune up, you can do that from the link, which our awesome colleague Sid behind the scene is doing that for you. Yes. So you can simply scan this QR code instead of typing out or copying the URL. So just get your phone, make a photo, scan it, then you're good to go. So you're not gonna miss our, future episodes. Yes, someone scanned the QR code. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice. Okay, with that, then I'm not going to stretch out any longer. I wish I could, but thank you so much, Elian, again for joining us. It was so nice, finally having you as a guest, and maybe you could join, another time. Who knows?
Whenever you need me, I'm here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great day, everybody.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.